Hey everybody, I'm John Demato. I'm a branded lifestyle portrait photographer and visual storytelling experts that works with experts to help them look like they're worth every penny they charge. And some of the best advice that I've ever received was when I was back in high school. If you don't love what you're doing, then do something else.
Ooh. If you don't love what you're doing, do something else. Who shared that with you, John?
I was a junior in high school. I went to the High School of Art and Design here in New York City, and I was in an architecture class, and I was thinking about college and thinking about going into it. And as I was asking all these questions to my teacher at the time, he just stopped me and he goes, "Listen, do you really love architecture?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool. I like it. It's not too bad." He goes, "But do you love architecture?" I'm like, not so much. And then he told me basically that if you plan to go down that road, it's a long, hard road before you ever make a real dollar. So you better love it. And from that day, I quit thinking about being an architect, and then I went into something else.
Wow. So what was this something else? Did you go right into photography or where'd you go?
No, what I ended up doing in college was uh, I had illusions of being a sports announcer. And
Awesome.
yeah, I wanted to be like the next Marv Albert or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I could do that. Maybe I could be on camera. And I love sports. I knew all about it, knew all the teams, knew all that stuff. And so I went to school for media studies and production. And that kind of brought me towards a path of production rather than being on camera because I realized, wow, this is really difficult to speak in front of a camera and in front of people. So that's where I went first. I went to TV.
That's cool. So sports, man, we got to talk about that a little bit. So you're a New York guy. So Jets or Giants, Mets or Yankees? What's your teams?
I am a Giants fan. I'm a New York Rangers fan. I'm also a Mets fan, but I'm also a Boston Celtics fan, which is a little odd because I'm a New Yorker and I get chastised for it from my friends on a daily basis.
The Celtics. So because of Bird, McHale,
But
yeah.
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
that's
I was a
fair.
I'm a kid of the '80s. I loved
Yeah,
the big three back then, so they hooked
yeah.
me in.
There you go. Well, you guys had a lot of players, man. I remember growing up, I was a big Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks fan because of where I'm from. So we had Moncrief, we had a lot of good players, right? And then when Moncrief retired, man, and Nelson quit and decided to go to Golden State, that was the end until we got the Greek Freak. So
But they kept you with those ugly uniforms for decades, though, so that's cool.
I guess, right? I guess that's funny, man. So your shirt, yeah, absolutely, John. I've known you a while, man. What the heck does that mean?
Well, once upon a time, I'd say this was about 5 years ago, I was speaking with a friend, a colleague, a trusted advisor, and she was talking to me about engagement on social media and how to really amplify my message by connecting with people. And one of the things that she suggested during those strategy sessions that we would have on the phone and at her house was, you should have a personalized hashtag. I'm like, what the hell do I need a personalized hashtag for? She's like, well, it's a way for people to kind of remember you. You're more, and kind of leave a footprint all across social and your online presence in general. And she goes, you say yeah, absolutely a lot. You say absolutely a lot. You say yeah a lot. That would be good as a hashtag together. And I'm like, you know what? It sounds catchy. That's cool. So on my way home from her house, she lives in upstate New York. I thought to myself, it's cool, but I needed to have some deeper emotional resonance for me. So as I'm thinking about it, I realized that it's a great metaphor for my life because prior to being a business owner, I worked in television as a producer, and I was pretty miserable, and I was very, very going through a lot of insecurity and being very resentful of what I was doing with my life. And then when my mom passed away, that was kind of the starting point for me to start thinking, I want to live a life with more purpose in it. And that was the moment that I started changing the way I was, being more open, being a business owner, being more comfortable, doing all the things that I was always saying hell no to in the past. And now I have no reason or no motivation more than to keep the lights on than to be, yeah, absolutely. So it kind of has that undertone to it of some personal significance to me.
That's awesome. I did not know that. That's cool. So we got one viewer here shares. My buddy Rich Hand says he's a bartender to the Scotch and Sirloin and met all the Celtics. Bird, Parrish, McHale, Walton.
Wow.
You'd have loved it. So do you know where that is, the Scotch and Sirloin there, John?
No, but now I found a new place to go get drunk at over here, so that's cool. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate that, buddy.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Thanks, Rich. So with that, John, TV producer. So TV to still photography, video is now the hot thing, man. And you moved into the other way. You moved into photography. So was one more important than the other?
Well, in my world, one fed into the other because what I did working as a field producer on a talk show for 9 years was shoot, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 interviews, a bunch of field pieces. I mean, countless hours of footage, and the philosophy of shooting video heavily influenced the way that I shoot my photography, thinking in terms of coverage and wide, medium, close-ups, variety and expressions, emotions, all of those things. And while video is hot, it's been important for a long time on social, and photos have been important on online for years and years and years. And one of the things that I hear a lot about is, oh, you have to have more video than photos, or some people say, I don't like being on video, I just want to be on photos. The thing is, it's not an either or. It's a yes and, always has been a yes and will continue to be a yes and. You need to have them both, because you have to remember that you're getting people coming into your world at different points of where they're making a decision whether or not you're the solution to their problem. And for some people, to invest time in watching a video is too much of an investment. They got to put the earbuds in, they need to listen to it, they have to do that. But if they're closer to a buying decision, that's the ideal format in which to get your message out to land and close a deal. But if they're just coming in off the street and they don't know who you are from anybody else that's another expert in your space, a high quality image that encapsulates your personality and disposition, along with positioning you as an expert through the artistry of the image, is what's going to get them through the front door. So that's why you need both, not either or.
Okay, well, I agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. But let's talk about what makes a quality image. What makes the artistry there? So what makes a good image, John? And what's the difference between maybe a good image and a not so good image, I guess?
Well, there is the technical component, number one. You know, the lighting, the composition, the background, the focus of the image, and more importantly, the intent behind what that image will be used for. You see, there are people that have hundreds, if not thousands, of photos sitting in a portfolio, and they have absolutely no idea what to do with them, right? But if you understand that we need a headshot for the one sheet and for the website and for the profiles, and we know that it needs to be fairly kind of like this frame right here, right, more or less. But then we also need some other images that have you maybe on the left and the right side of the image, because we need to create website banners, or we're creating ads where there's text in it, and there needs to be a certain type of emotion conveyed in that to visually punctuate the sentiment of the words that the copy is going to be along with that image. So you need those kinds of images. Maybe then you need some other action shots of you doing your thing, whether it's facilitating in a room or keynoting on a stage, because you're putting together a packet for a potential conference. The point being is that when you need to figure out good photos from bad photos, you always need to have the intent behind what the use of that image is for first, and then look at what you have. Or if you have nothing, then understand what the gaps are in your online presence, and then work with a photographer to strategize the types of images step by step through that shot sheet, what you need, and then bang them out, and then you're covered.
Wow. Wow, that's a whole lot more than just picking up a camera and shooting it, John. That's right. Well, because I mean,
Little bit.
I hear a lot of a little bit, right? I mean, I hear a lot of people say, "Well, I take your picture. I can be a photographer, right? I can take that shot." Or, well, dude, I've got my iPhone, right? I can take pictures. So
Yeah.
so talk to me about that. What do you say about folks who say, "Okay, well, I can use my iPhone."
In the same manner that video and photos are a yes and, smartphone self portraits and professional high quality portraits are yes and. It's the same thing. I use photos taken with my phone all the time. Why? Because the context in which I'm photographing them dictates that I'm using my phone because I don't have another professional photographer in the room. So when you have and speaking to the larger expert community here, if you're in a room and you don't have a professional photographer there, yeah, you need, and you want to take a photo with, say, some of the participants that are in the audience, you want to shoot yourself in the space. Maybe you're talking to the keynoter and you want to, do all the things, get a photo of you getting their book signed, whatever. You're going to use a phone, and that's totally okay. But you also need to take into account that when you're talking about your online presence, your home base, all of the different important touch points across social media, across your website, those images, you're trying to create that perception that I am worth every single penny that I charge. And it is important that you have the images that catch you being caught in the act of doing your thing, whether you're facilitating or you're just speaking on a stage or you're doing consultations or workshops or fill in the blank. And then you have those images with the artistry and the emotion and the high level quality that really positions you as that authority.
Interesting. Wow. So I'll tell you, I was not expecting you to say that. I was expecting you to say that you need a professional camera. And then I look at your website and you've got a course on shoot it yourself. So talk to me about that, man. What does that course entail, and is it something that a bonehead like me can actually use?
Boneheads and brainiacs alike, yes, all of you can use this, because at the end of the day, what the shoot it yourself course does is give you the bare bones basics on how to create a well composed photo with your phone. And those techniques and the different things in the camera are independent of the type of camera you have, because it's the same fundamentals that every professional and amateur photographer leverage themselves: framing, rule of thirds, composition, trying to find the right background, the timing on your face, how to post produce it without throwing 800 ugly god awful filters on top of it, all that kind of stuff. And what it does is it just empowers people to feel more confident, so that they don't just end up taking the photos where they have the camera kind of like propelling like a drone over their head, shooting straight down, because they don't want to show off anything. I hate those photos so much. It drives me crazy. I'm sorry. I hate them. I hate them so much.
That's so funny.
And by the way, Phil, and I've said this in my blog and on other podcasts, and I'll say it here again to reiterate why I hate it. The higher someone goes with their phone over their head to shoot overhead, only subconsciously tells people how insecure you are about how you look. That's all that says. You're hiding and you're trying to mask. So cut the crap and just shoot a shot of you from eye level and own it. That's my 2 cents on it.
No, I love that. So selfie or the other, or do I have to use the correct side? What's the, is there a difference? Does it matter?
Yeah. So whenever you have the opportunity to use a front-facing camera, absolutely use it, because what you see is what you get. Meaning, if the focus is a little bit off, if you want to adjust the portrait mode to make the background a little more out of focus, you see exactly what you're going to get. The key thing when you're doing that, though, is when you're about to hit the shutter button to take the picture, make sure your eye does not look at you. It looks at the camera on the side, because if you don't look into the camera the lens and you look at yourself, your eye perspective is going to be off. So it kills the whole thing, because the whole point is to make direct eye contact with people when you take those photos, because people's attention goes directly to the eyes first. So lock in with them and just do that little thing.
Ooh, good. Really, really strong advice there, John. So let's talk more about those professional photos. I mean, I titled this one "A Picture's Worth $1,000,000," and I have to tell you, the pictures that you've taken absolutely make people look like $1,000,000. I see pictures of my friend Ron Carr. I see pictures of Phil Jones, my buddy. I see pictures of Seth Godin. So talk about that. Like, what's the whole plan there behind what goes into a day of shooting when you're shooting with a Seth or a Phil?
Well, the key thing with any client that I work with is that I know who you are, who you serve, the problems you solve, how you solve them, and why you do what you do. And within those 5 high-level points, I ask 1,000,001 questions during the strategy call to really be able to uncover the wrinkles and nuances into what makes you uniquely you, and how you uniquely serve the people that you help out. And once I get that information, we're figuring out what your process looks like. I'm getting aspects of your personality coming out. So we have promotional images, we have lifestyle behind the scenes, candid images of you working, whatever that looks like, however you brainstorm ideas, however you work with clients, whether it's on a screen virtually, or it's in the same room, or it's from a stage, or it's your book, and what's important about your book. And then we figure out how to shoot that. And we put together all of the individual pieces to create a comprehensive shot list that allows my clients the opportunity to basically cover every image asset need they have across their online presence the moment that they book me.
Wow. Wow. Again, way more than just picking up a camera and shooting it, which I love. I mean, I love the strategy thoughts behind that, John, because I've gotten I think some fairly decent pictures of me taken, but none are on the level that you take. And I'm saying that, I'm like, wow, these are completely different than what I've seen. And then these book photos, these book boudoir shots. Talk to me about that, man, because that's so interesting. I mean, it's one thing to take an image of your book page. It's another thing to take a picture. So talk to me about those book boudoir shots and how those kind of came about and how people are leveraging those.
Well, it came about during the pandemic, actually, around December of 2020. I posted something to my blog regarding having your book cover photographed during your portrait session, because I had done that for several folks over the years. And Joey Coleman, another speaker, colleague friend of mine, he reached out to me and he was like, do you just shoot books by themselves? And my first reaction was, why would you want that? and we got to talking. Oh, I want to push the book, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I could shoot the book cover and the spine. But then I thought, but what if I shot the inside of the book? Would that be valuable to you? Like, maybe if I shot some of the quotes and some of the illustrations. It's like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even think of that. And I said, well, neither did I until just now. I think it sounds kind of cool. So I started with his book. And from there, posted those, showed them to a couple of people, and really started something out of nothing. And but the thing that I realized is that was a real need that authors need, because it's one thing to have that digital image that you get from the publisher or from the designer, and yeah, it's got the cover, but there's no life whatsoever to it. What you really want to do to create that distinction from other authors who have written about the subject that you've written about with 10,000 other copies of it is to really give your audience a chance to preview the book in their hands through their eyes with these photos. It really gets in the nitty gritty, shows off the layout, some of the amazing quotes, the artwork, all of these different things, so that it really gets them excited about, well, what else is in that book, and how is this going to help me? So that's really where it came from.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, I've seen a couple of the ones that you've done. I'm like, Ooh, that does look really nice, and that does, that really does make you want to buy the book, even if you're not sure of what the heck's inside. So is there, moving from video to photography? I mean, is there anything that surprised you that's maybe the same, or anything that surprised you, John, that's completely different that you weren't expecting?
Um, People are people, man. At the end of the day, whether you're trying to get them to share deep emotional things in front of a camera by talking, or having these people get very introspective and deep and ruminating in front of my mirrorless Nikon camera, at the end of the day, it's all about creating rapport with that person, establishing trust, connecting with them on a level that's beyond that of the work, and being able to shepherd these people through the process of the beginning, middle, and end of whatever the goal is of that session is, whether it's an interview or photography or whatever. There are a lot of similarities. The one bonus, and probably one of the main reasons why I really I gravitated towards photography past video, is I don't have to worry about sound anymore, and that makes me really happy as a shooter, because that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, for sure, right? I mean, on a podcast, it's hard, right? I mean, sometimes,
Yeah.
right, a door slams or something happens. So yeah, I totally agree. I think that would definitely be a benefit to folks. So, John, you've shot lots of people, lots of different stuff. Like, do you have a favorite? You don't even have to say subject, but like a favorite photograph that you've taken. Can you explain it and like why it's your favorite?
I do have one that I don't have it in this room, but in my office here. But it's a photo that I took probably 10 years ago. I was in a car heading to an event. My buddy owned a shop in Brooklyn, and he picked me up. I was going to shoot an art event at this retail shop, and we're driving over the BQE, and there was this amazing cloud cover. I mean, the clouds were it was just one massive cloud, and it made the New York City skyline look so absolutely tiny. But the colors that were coming out of the cracks in the clouds were just really majestic. I'm like, I need to shoot this damn thing. So I'm fumbling for my camera on the bottom by my feet, grab it, I turn, I'm shooting 9 million shots. And now I have one of them that sits over my bed in my bedroom, and I call it the Jesus light, because the lights beams that are coming out, it's just very celestial and magical. So yeah.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, before we wrap up, man, I gotta come back to something that you said, and that is filters.
Oh boy.
Talk to me about filters, John. Like, good, bad. Like, don't do them. Do them with tactfully. Is there anyone that actually is decent? Talk to me about that, man.
The answer is no. They all suck. The answer is fix them yourself. Put forth the 30 seconds to 5 minutes to be able to learn how to color, contrast, sharpen, and noise reduce your own images. You have the capability to do so within your phone. Every single phone that has a camera has this option. It looks way better, more natural, and it doesn't muddy up your images. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of having these images of yourself is to be able to connect with people. And if you're slapping 800 filters on there, it's going to create a level of separation between you and the viewer's experience. So stop doing that, please, for all of us.
So, color, recolor, noise reduce. What are the other things we need to learn, John?
Contrast, you know what it really is, Phil? Open up your phone, take a cool selfie of yourself, and play. That's how I taught myself, by the way. I didn't go to school for photography. I went to school for TV production. And the way that I learned everything is by watching YouTube and experimenting. And got me this far, so not bad. And everybody has the capability to do so.
Love it. Love it.
There you
Take
go.
a cool selfie and play. We can all do that, man. So let as we wrap this up here, other than taking a cool selfie and play, folks want to get started maybe picking a professional photographer. how would they do that? Like, are there interview questions, John, or how would you recommend that? I mean, obviously they should hire you, but you can't shoot everybody. So how
No.
would they hire someone like you?
Well, and also I'm not for everybody. So,
That's right. Yeah, well,
and
none of us
that
are.
exactly my point though, but that's where I want to go with this.
Yeah.
It's important for people who are looking for professional photographers to look beyond the portfolio and the price tag. Yes, you can get that referral. Yes, they can have wonderful work. Yes, the price may be right for you for where you are with your business right now. But the key thing, and I mentioned this earlier in another context, is rapport. When you're on the phone with these people, which you need to be on the phone with them, you need to ask them questions that you can, where you can find out about their directing style. You get a sense of their personality. Is it going to jive with your personality, or are you going to feel confronted and resentful based on the way this person's acting? So you got to feel them out for that. Understand what level quality work they do. Also talk to them about the strategy component and make sure that, you know, they understand your specific needs. Now, my hope is that the photographer is on standby with those questions at the ready to be able to get that. But if not, then you're going to need to hold their hand, or you're going to find someone else that will hold your hand. But these are the things to think about when you're qualifying a photographer to know. And by the way, it's not just portraits. It's how they shoot live events. It's how they shoot virtual. It's how they shoot your books. All of these different things. Always be on the same page. Make sure that you will be on the same page with the person that's charged with taking your photos.
Awesome. Yeah, great advice. Especially a directing style and personality. Some people want somebody softer who's more encouraging. Some people want a drill sergeant who's barking at them, and some people want somewhere in the middle. So I think that's awesome advice, man. That's awesome advice. So so folks have an opportunity here to get the visual storytelling guide for experts if you want to maximize the ROI on the photos that you're taking and the value there. So I'm going to put that up on screen. But tell us a little bit more, John, about why they should be getting this, because I think it's super important. I know I've been signed up for your newsletter so long, I had to personally ask you to get a copy of this, and it's fantastic. No, and I mean that in a good way, man. Like, I was like, hey, I'm missing this, and it's really good. So talk to me a little bit more about why you've found it helpful for those of your clients that are looking to talk to you.
Well, what it does is it just gives more of a context into really kind of what we just talked about, being in a place where you understand what you really need for your photography in terms of your visual assets to be able to position yourself as that authority in your space, you know? And what I put in that guide are some tips and some high level concepts that really flesh out the why, what, and how behind creating high quality portraits to promote your business brand and lifestyle. And it's a good starting point for everyone to have, especially for the emerging folks that are just walking in like deer in headlights, like I have no idea what's going on. That would be a great place for them to start to have more context into what they really need.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, it's at johndemato.com. That's DEMATO.com/personal-brand. Pick up a copy of that, totally free. John's trying to help out there, help us beginners who need that. So our getting the right storytelling and to accentuate what we need to say, how to connect emotionally with our audience through visuals, and minimize that decision fatigue and not look at 10 million pictures and be like, come on, man, no more for me. So that's good, John. So if people were to say, okay, one thing, I want to get started today, and I want to get started maybe shooting pictures of myself, or maybe it's going out and looking at portfolios. So at least I know where to start picking that out, John. What would you have them do?
The first place I'd have them start is by taking a long, hard look at what they're putting out there right now, and thinking more about, well, here's where I am with my business. Here's where I am with the way that I'm positioning myself through my photo, my video assets, my graphics, et cetera, where are the gaps? And then start to really be honest with yourself with regards to whether or not you feel confident enough in the way that you're positioning self to justify all of the fees, the services, the everything and realize, do I need to step it up? Do I need to stay the course? Or, figure out from there what I need to do. And that would probably be the best place to start from within.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, again, friends, take a look at John. Get to know John Demato. He's at johndemato.com. His pictures are worth $1 million, and you can learn from John on how to take them. Go to johndemato.com/personal-brand and read his blog. His blog is fantastic. It's packed with insights. I read it almost every time it comes out, and I say almost because I don't read everything every time. But it's good stuff, John, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you sharing so much good stuff today, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, especially those glasses, my friend. Looking